Welcome to Mindful of Tech and another episode of Restoration and Rumination, this time featuring the Sega Mega Drive. Sega! Now in this initial video, there's not going to be a whole lot of restoration, but there is going to be a ton of rumination. Rumination on the fact that I have never opened a Mega Drive before. I know basically nothing about the internals of one. The only thing I do know is that this particular Mega Drive is not outputting an image, or presumably sound either, as when I plug it into my TV through both of the possible outputs, I get nothing, black screen. I know that the TV works fine because I have put other consoles on it with no problem. And as I say, I've tried two different cables on this, so something somewhere is wrong, probably somewhere along the video processing to output circuits, analog, whatever is going on in there. As I say, never ever opened one before. Not that I'm super familiar with the internals of any consoles. I probably know a bit more about the Saturn and Dreamcast, but I've never really actively repaired any of them or anything like that, so I am by no means an expert, and that is why I'm going to start just by opening it up and having a look. And I'm hoping that you will have a look along with me, and if there's anything you spot that I don't, or I ask any questions about anything at all and you do know the answers, please do let me know in the comments, because basically what I'm going to do is open this thing up, take a look inside, see if there's anything super obvious going wrong with it, and then go away, learn how to fix it and identify problems within a Mega Drive, and then part two will be actually fixing the thing. So this is more just going to be an opening it up and seeing what we're dealing with before we actually go ahead and try and do anything. So, with that said, let's take a little look. Now, the first issue is going to be how to open this Mega Drive. Mega Drive 1, by the way, the high definition graphics version. As far as I'm aware, there are two versions of the Mega Drive 1, one with this text and one without. The one without is worse for some reason. Presumably has less high definition graphics inside it. This is actually my long-term lady partner's Mega Drive, one that she's had for quite a while, but it has been in storage, so we don't really know what kind of state that it's going to be in. As I say, the power light comes on, but that is about all we've been able to achieve with it. So let's get it open. Now, just 6 screws it looks like we have in the back here. Talk about right to repair. Not like it is nowadays. Now, the problem is going to be, I think, that my fancy screwdriver is too wide for the holes. And I don't have a normal size screwdriver, so I'm going to have to use a little bitty one. Now, these are a bit of a pain, these precision screwdrivers, when you're actually using them for screws that aren't super precision, as they can sometimes be a bit of a pain to get things going, and literally a pain if you're trying to sort of do something and scraping your fingers along the perforations down the side there. A little trick I found actually, I mean these are all okay, but if you do have a screw that's really, really hard to open and you are having to use a small screwdriver like this, one of the things you'll notice is that the head is disconnected from the body and actually can spin round. And that's super useful if you ever need to, I don't know if this is like the actual purpose of it and you're all going to be like, well yeah, that's what it's for, but I just one day thought, hang on, I wonder if this works, and it does. Get a pair of pliers, hold it by the head, pop it into the screw, hold it down, and use the actual pliers to turn it. And if you have a screw that's being a pain and is difficult to turn by hand, that's a super good way of doing it, especially if you can put a lot of pressure on it and get it down, which is not so easy with this because of the shape of it, but there we go. See, just means it's minimum effort to get a screw turning that doesn't want to turn. I'm saying that. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that is all 6 screws. Hopefully they're all out enough. Let's turn it over and find out. Oh, that was sloppy. But we do have 6. Whee! So I'll pop them to one side. Obviously when you're taking apart something like this, it's handy to keep the screws separated so you know which bit is for which. I like using these just Poundland mats because they're fluffy. Screws don't roll around, shouldn't lose them. And also obviously I have archival footage of me disassembling it, so it's quite straightforward if I leave it in situ to know what came from where, because if I forget I can just look at the video. But yeah, I definitely recommend keeping them all separate, maybe labelling them. You saw in previous videos I do sometimes use those kind of screw sorter things to do that, or you can use magnetic project mats or whatever you like. But yeah, do make sure you keep track of your screws in whatever way works for you. So that's the screws out the bottom. I think, oh, very easy. That does mean that we can, oh, I've got a wire that's attached here. So that's the power LED. Now it looks like this is just attached with like a little, you know, like you'd see on a motherboard, just a little pin connector, but I actually think it's possibly attached. Let's see if we can snatch it off with my needle nose pliers. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and say that that is soldered on there. Even though these both look like they should be detachable. Okay, that's fine. For the purposes of today's video, we can leave that attached. So, as we can see, it's not entirely unexpected. It's not in the best condition. It's clearly had a bit of moisture in it at some point. You can see that it's, you know, this has started to rust, which is not at all uncommon in these, you know, RF shields in old tech like this. RF shields, I guess they're still used, but they're much less invasive than they used to be. It's very rare that you open something up and it has such chunky shielding, you know, like this does. I mean, saying that, like, you know, the Xbox and things like that, they do have shields over them as well. But more often than not, they were kind of overkill back in the day. So I'm not, you know, wouldn't be too worried if this thing was completely unsalvageable, which I don't think it is. You know, I think we can give it a clean and that'll go back in there, no problem. But I wouldn't think, and I might be wrong, correct me in the comments if I am, but I wouldn't think that not having this RF shield would make a huge difference to the operation of the machine. So yeah. So from what we can see here, obviously the machine is dirty, in need of a clean, but I can't see anything sort of obviously horrendous. You've got your volume slider here, which all marries up to the front, the volume slider. A power switch is in here, which again marries up to the front. I should probably leave that in the off position. And here's your reset button, which is literally pushed by this big old button here at the front. Other than that, we've got, so this is the AV. So the actual power brick has most of the electronics in it, which allows it to provide the power that the Mega Drive needs. So it doesn't really have like a, you know, crazy internal power supply like you know, modern machines do that don't have the power supply out on the brick like this thing would have done. But yeah, let's get this RF shield off then and see what we're dealing with. Should be able to use my real screwdriver for this. Okay, so that's that side released. It looks like we've got a screw here. This bit, oh, no, okay. Oh, I see. Ah, okay. So that is our RF shield out of there. Now we can see underneath. One of the first things I noticed is all these capacitors here. These sort of things that look like batteries. One thing that can happen is these things can degrade and can also explode. Now, you can't see visually whether or not any of these capacitors are not working at the capacity that they should, but you can see that it doesn't appear that any of them have exploded, and the stuff that comes out of them, the electrocatalytic, whatever it's called, it will corrode and eat away at stuff, so it's good that none of these have exploded. As far as I can see, the other thing you can look for is look at the tops, look whether or not they look bulging. Are there any cracks in the packaging around them to indicate that they have sort of started to bulge or have kind of exploded, but not in a super scary way. And as far as I can see, these caps kind of look all right. So this is my first time really looking. I mean, I've probably seen Mega Drives opened up maybe on other YouTubers' channels and that sort of thing, but I haven't really paid a huge amount of attention. So honestly, this is pretty new to me. My limited knowledge of the machine, I'm going to assume, so we've done the volume slider and everything, I'm going to assume this is the processor here, which has either been modified or, in fact, hang on, let's do this properly. If you'll observe, the leg here appears to have been bent out, and there is actually a very small resistor, get a zoom in on that, which has been attached to attach it back down again. Now that could easily be something that's happened in the factory, because quite often with old machines where a lot of the process was done by hand, it's not super uncommon to see bodge wires and bodge jobs out of the factory because something broke or because something changed in the design and they needed to put a resistor in somewhere or something like that. So that's not necessarily a sign that it's been modified. This here as well, again, I have absolutely no idea if what I'm looking at is a regular Mega Drive or has bits attached. So if you do know, do let me know down in the comments, because that will be super helpful for my research that I'll be doing before I actually touch this thing. I do notice as well that all these chips, you can actually see they have pencil mark on them, sometimes coloured pencil, sometimes what looks like graphite pencil. Again, whether or not that's someone going through and checking the chips and doing a kind of aftermarket repair, perhaps even another YouTuber, or if that's something that's just happened in the factory, I don't know. They do mark chips and things like that, so it's again not uncommon to open up, especially from this era, and find actual handwriting inside on the components. So whether or not that's a sign of anything, I don't know. But that leg's certainly interesting. So yeah, do let me know in the comments if you know that that was something that was done for a reason, or if that's a sign of some kind of modification. Now this thing here, I think this is something to do with power delivery. Simply because there's like these things on it. I don't know what they are, but I think I've seen them, and I think they're something to do with power delivery. I've seen them in other things. It looks like they're thermally bonded to whatever this big bit of metal is as well, to act as like a heat sink. So that makes me think it's almost certainly something to do with power delivery, because there's not really many components in here that are going to put out any heat other than what's controlling power. So again, if you know what this is, let me know. We're going to have to take it off, I think, to get the motherboard out. So looking at the actual motherboard itself, it's not really held in much. Possibly just with this. Under there. But I honestly have no idea who's holding that one. It's like a weird empty screw hole here. Okay, so as I don't want to break this, I am going to have to look at how to open a Mega Drive. Because I really don't want to break it. I wouldn't have suspected it would give me this trouble. I mean, sometimes it is a case of like, oh yeah, you just got to pull it till it makes a cracking noise and comes off, but I don't want to do that only to find that that's not the case and that cracking noise is actually something breaking. Probably show me a lot more if it wasn't in flight mode. Just come out of flight mode. I fix it, I've got a guide. Brilliant. I said your name, you can sponsor me now if you like. Send me free kits. Blah blah blah, we did that bit. Ah, okay. So, no, okay. So it does tell you how to get that bit off, but it looks slightly different, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Remove single black screw from the outside of the bottom cover. Okay, so that's that. Which means that this has been opened before, because that was not in there. But anyway, blah, 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 blah. Ah, oh, the cartridge slot. Thank you, I fix it. Cheers, free advertising. Send me a screwdriver set. Thanks. Hey! More off shielding. And there we are. Cool. So yeah, definitely all needs a good clean. That's cool. We'll do that. Next video will be clean and fix, hopefully. So, if you want to help identify what is going on here, we have, so this broken leg here, which has a resistor attached to it. Got this suspicious looking, I guess this is a capacitor, different type, thing here, which is the only one of its type in here and has obviously been wrapped in non-conductive on one side. Whatever's going on under here, I say looks okay. None of the capacitors are obviously damaged, but we are definitely getting no video output. So our endpoint is here, and what is happening to make that not output could be anything in between here, where the power goes in, which I believe works because the LED works, and every single other component on the board leading to that. So, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I don't know. I was kind of hoping to open it up and it's like, oh look, there's a capacitor that's exploded. All those capacitors look bad. Let's replace them, you know, that sort of thing. I hoped it would be like super obvious that there was something wrong. From what I can see, it looks dirty. There's a few questionable areas. It's possibly had some work done to it. But in terms of troubleshooting visually, I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you can see what's going on there. As I say, get involved in the comments. Let me know. I do have like a multimeter and soldering iron and all that kind of stuff, but I've never really used it. So what I'm going to do now is go away and become a short-term expert on the internals of the Mega Drive, and then come back with another video which will hopefully contain all of the answers to what is going on in here and allow us to get this thing working so that we can do some Mega Drive videos, because as I say, my long-term lady partner has a really nice collection with a few choice games, so it's a really good start for having a Mega Drive collection for here on Mindful of Tech. So thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry if that was hugely infuriating for anyone that does know about the internals of a Mega Drive, but hey, there's a button for that, so you know, you can always hit that. If you did like what I did here today, then be sure to hit the like button. If you are not subscribed, then please do subscribe. Basically, once I get to 100 subscribers, I can claim my name and have actual, /mindful of tech instead of just a long stream of alphanumeric characters as my URL, which it is at the moment. So, right now, if you could just subscribe, just even if you just like the video a tiny bit, just subscribe just to help get me to those numbers, because each time you hit 100, 1,000, 100,000, a million, whatever on YouTube, those are all milestones which activate a whole load of other stuff. And right now, all I want is my name. That's all I want. I want to have my name day. So please do subscribe. Obviously, share it with your friends. And if you've got anything you want to add, if you've got any advice at all you can give me, even if it's just get good, then do post down in the comments. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mindful of Tech. And until we meet again, be well.